So Finland is predominantly Lutheran, and it's interesting. I actually did an internship there last summer as well with a biotech company, and it was interesting just to talk to them because they were all Lutheran, but when you ask them what that means, they're like, well, I mean, I go to church for weddings and on Easter and Christmas, and like that's the extent of most of their religious experiences. Is that they're Lutheran because it's kind of just a state religion. Most people are Lutheran. It's kind of a traditional thing, but they don't necessarily know what that means. They don't necessarily live that too often as far as like what the tenets of their religion are. That being said, the church is growing really quickly in Finland, which is awesome. It's so great to see. Well, I think there's kind of that kind of thought, or that people talk to them new missionaries about, that if they're going to Scandinavia or Europe in general, that you're going to work really hard and you're not going to baptize, which is completely false. Especially from my experience, there are 5 million people in Finland. We've got about 5,000 members, and but the church is growing so fast. I mean, the first year that I was there in the mission, which was like 2009, I think there were like 45 baptisms, and when I left in 2011, there were about 100 baptisms. And so, I mean, it started off a little bit slower when I first got there, but the church is growing and people do understand. I think the temple in Helsinki is something that is really an amazing resource. There were, I think, when the temple was first dedicated in 2006, I think for the open house there were over like 500,000 people that came to the open house, and which was just incredible. I mean, just a lot of people came, waited in the rain to go see the temple. And I think that's just the intellectual curiosity that most Finns have. They like to learn, and they like to understand new things about new cultures and about new religions. And I think that's something that you can definitely utilize as a missionary is their intellectual curiosity. That Finns in general don't necessarily like to talk about religion. But a lot of them are very interested in learning about why you're doing what you're doing, which is a pretty cool experience. As far as like, I guess, where missionaries serve, so I kind of was able to run the gambit a little bit and go all over the country. So I started off my mission in Helsinki, and then I went to the northernmost city that you serve in Rovaniemi, right next to the Arctic Circle. And that's kind of the full breadth as you go pretty much as far south as Helsinki and as far north as just right below the Arctic Circle in a little town called Rovaniemi. And then east to west, I mean, there's quite the large experiences there as well, where I was able to serve. I kind of, like I said, served all over the place. So I was able to serve in the west and the east, and so it's a really cool experience. And the members are great. There are 2 stakes in Finland, one based out of Helsinki and the other one in Tampere, and then the rest of it are just districts. So there's one district based in like kind of the west in like Vaasa and Pietarsaari in the west area there, and then there's one in the east in Kuopio, and then one up north in like the Oulu, Rovaniemi area as well.